Hey makers, this is Dhruveen and welcome to Power Automate Business Approval Kit step-by-step tutorial series. You are watching third episode of this series, and in this episode I am going to talk about one real-world use case where we can use this Power Automate Approval Kit. So without further delay, let's get started. But before that, if you haven't followed me on my Twitter, Instagram and YouTube so far, please do follow me. Now, first of all, let me explain you the overall use case over here. Here I have taken an example of Contoso coffee machine request. Whenever you request with the name and price, first it will go through the self-approval process. Now, if self-approval has been performed and if its value is greater than $400, then it will again go for the next level of manager approval, and whenever manager approves, that request is considered as a finalized. So basically it's a two-stage approval process. Also, we will be talking about some of the interesting feature over here, that let's say if I'm out of the office, what should happen, if it is holiday or work schedule, or what should happen, or let's say for an example, if I want to set up the delegate for myself, how can I set up. All of those things we will cover into this particular example. And now let's get started and see the real application over here. So this is one of the Canvas application that I have here, and over here you can see that I can see the different coffee machines over here. Let's say I'm comparing 3 coffee machines side by side, and let's say this is one of the thing which I want to set up. So what I'll do is I'll simply submit my request over here, and then the approval process gets started from the approval kit. That's the overall agenda. Now, how I have set up this particular application and how you can practice on that, I will talk about that thing as well in this particular session. So for this particular example, I have taken an example of Microsoft Learn. When you open the Microsoft Learn from the provided link in the description box, it will open you up to this page. Now over here there is an option import Contoso coffee application, and scroll down a little bit and there you can find this particular package, App in a Day Trainer package. Just download this package. Just click on that and it will start downloading. Now I have downloaded this package already, so I'll simply import this process in order to get started. So let me redirect myself to the solution. So this is the environment where we installed our business approval kit. Now let me go to the solution and let me import a solution. Click on browse and just open the package that you have just downloaded. Click on the completed lab solution and go to module 3. And over here you will be finding an option Contoso coffee. Just click on open and import that package. Click on next and it will start importing this package for yourself. Click on import. This will take some time over here. You can see that it is currently importing this Contoso coffee package for yourself. Let it to be imported. And here we are. The Contoso coffee imported successfully. Now let's open up the solution and let's try to play the application from the solution. Go to the app section and over here you can see the Canvas application machine ordering app. Click on the 3 dots and click on play. And here we are. The app played successfully. Now let's implement our scenario on top of this application. So whenever you can see that this is the machine ordering system, and over here let's say I'm selecting this 2, comparing this 2 item, and let's say if I'm picking up $349 travel brew and clicking on submit machine request, then what happen here is it will basically store this information in one of the Dataverse table. Let's click on submit machine request, and what happen here is behind the scene it is stored successfully. And over here if we look at the solution, it has one table called machine order, and in that machine order that request will be stored. Okay, so we will not go more in depth throughout this already imported package, but this is the overall idea. Now what I want is, as soon as some machine request come up, if it is more than $400, then it will go through 2-step process, otherwise it will go only for self-approval process. And we will use the business approval kit in order to implement this. So how can we get started with that? Let's have a quick look around that. So first of all, let's go back to the solution and go to the manage solution. In some of the previous episode, when we have installed our packages, we have observed that this business approval kit package has been installed over here, and where we have configured our custom connector and those stuff over there. Okay, now when you import this business approval kit, it come up with one of the model driven app in out of the box way. If you go to the app section, you will be able to see this particular app called business approval management, and this is which is responsible for overall approval process. Let's play this application and let's try to explore this app in detail. So over here, this is the app which has been added successfully. Now over here, the first section over here is approval center. This page is called as approval center, where you can configure your workflow, you can link your workflow, you can configure some basic settings like delegate, out of the office, and those. Also you can see all the submitted workflow over here, or all the received approval request over here. Now let's try to configure our basic approval flow. So from the bottom, let's select the approval designer over here, which is providing you the flexibility to create a low code approval process. So I'm just clicking on approval designer, and that will open up this kind of page for me. Now over here you can see an option process, stage, nodes. Now we will go in depth for this particular stuff. So let's create our first approval process. First of all, let's click on new process designer option from here. So this is opening this kind of canvas application. Now over here, first of all, let's provide the name of your business approval flow. I'm just providing the name as machine request. And let's start creating our first stage of approval. Here you can create the multi-stage approval process. Now let's add our first stage. So whenever I'm clicking on stage name, first of all, it is asking me the name of the stage. So the first stage is self-approval. So let me just provide the name as self-approval over here. And here I don't want to add any other conditions. So let's simply click on save, and let's create our first stage. So this is called as the stage, and you can see that it has added this kind of square box over here. Now in the self approval, what you want to configure, you can do it by adding some nodes inside that. So let's click on add node option from here, and that will open this create node package for you. And this will open this create node pop-up for you. Now let's provide the name over here. So here I just want to provide the name as submit, and over here approval type I just want to set up as approve reject, everyone must approve. And this is what same work like a out of the box approval action. In out of the box approval action, these are the different options which were provided with. So these are exact same, you can choose whichever you want. Okay, in my case I'm selecting approve reject simply. Now here you can select the approval as well. Now here you need to select the approver. Approver can be a user, or in a dynamic way as well you can select. If you select user, you just need to provide the name of the user who will be approver. And in case of dynamic, you can just set up something like that. Manager of initiator, manager of request data field, manager of RAST approver, and use the request data field. So it depends what kind of approver you wanted to set up over here. Depending on that, you just need to provide that. If you select request data field, then whichever variable you will define from your flow, you need to pass that. Last approval means whoever the last approver will be, it will be there. And manager of initiator. Here at this moment, I just wanted to do the self approval for myself. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adding my name at this moment statically, and let's click on add. Over here, when you click on add, it has two different options. Notification, you want to set up any notification via Teams or email or such stuff. This is also similar like approval action, so I just select default, that's fine. And delegation rule, so what type of delegation rule you want to set up on this action. If I am not available, there are 4 different options available here. None means no delegation rule you are setting up. Timeout means when you select the timeout. When you select timeout, what happen here is after timeout, for specific days you have defined business days or actual day, it will assign that request automatically to that delegate. Out of office, which means that if user is out of the office, the other delegate will receive a notification and get that approval request assigned. And time of timeout or out of the office. If any of this case happen, timeout or out of office, delegation will perform. Okay, so these are the delegation rule. We will talk about delegation rule in a while, but let's select none at this moment and finish this stuff for ourselves. Let's click on save, and now you can see that our node has been created successfully. So our first node has been created perfectly. Let's save it. And now once you save it, the next immediate step is that you need to publish this particular flow. So let's click on publish button, and as soon as you publish, you can see this publish button, and over here at the bottom you can see that activate process when published. It is yes by default, and once it is published, it will be available in the Cloudflow for the usage. Let's click on publish over here, and it will publish the latest version over here, and you can see that activation status is not showing anything at this moment. Let's click on refresh to see the latest status. Let's wait for a few minutes. And here I am. Upon refresh, I can see that this activation status is active. So our first process designer flow has been created successfully, and you can see it over here. Alright, now if you go to the stages, you can see that all of this information stores behind the scene in the some sort of Dataverse table. So self approval was the first stage, so it is showing me that stage node. So whatever self approval node we created, so you can see under the node section. Currently we don't have any condition, so you can't see anything. Approvers, you can see at this moment for self approval who is the approver, so I can see my own name over here. Okay, so these are all the things you can see it over here. Now let's consume this process designer workflow inside the Power Automate flow. For that, what I'm doing here is I'm just going to my solution and I'm creating a fresh new solution for myself, and I'm providing the name as Contoso Coffee Approval. I'm selecting the publisher as Contoso and clicking on create. Now over here, let's create a fresh cloud flow. So I'm creating new automation and automated cloud flow. Let's click on skip, and let's search here for the Dataverse connector, and let's select an action when a row is added, modified or deleted. Let's choose a change type. So whenever a new order request come up, I want to trigger this process approval flow. Let's select a table name. So basically our Canvas application store the data in the machine order table. So let's select machine orders table. Let's choose the scope at organization over here, and let's add the new step after that. Over here, you just need to go to the custom action, and you will be able to see your approval kit action over here. Start the business approval process. Let's select that. Over here, it will ask you for sign in. So let's select it and sign in. Alright, and now here you need to select a workflow process. So from workflow process, it will show you some options in the drop down. So let's wait for that. And you can see that I can see untitled V1 over here. Let's select that. This is why it is showing untitled, because when we set up this particular flow over here, when you go to the publish processes, by default you can see that it is stored as a untitled. You can simply rename that as well by clicking on edit, and let's say if you just want to provide the proper name, machine request v1, you can provide it over here. Okay, at this moment I'm not changing anything, I'm just saving this as is and simply saving my flow over here as well. And let me just provide a flow name as Contoso approval flow. Now let's go back and click on Cloudflow section and click on details. Now let's create a fresh new request so that this flow will trigger. Here let me select this 3 product over here, compare these 3 item, and let me select this one. I'm not selecting any approver over here, and clicking on submit machine request. Click on OK, and the request has been created. Let's open up the flow and check the run, and you can see that it has been succeeded. Okay, and meantime let me just go to my model driven application for this business approval kit, and let me go to the approval center. So over here you can see that one flow has been submitted over here, and you can check the details over here as well. So with tracking perspective as well, this is really helpful to you. Also, when you click on the node instances, you can see that right now it is in the first node and the status is still running. So you can see this particular status over here. Now for approval, you have received this kind of email where you have approve and reject button. Also, you can go to the flow approval center and you can approve and reject from here as well. Let me simply click on approve and let me just add a comment and simply click on confirm. And this process has been completed successfully. Now if I go to the business approval center and refresh this particular status, you can see that instant status is being completed. And even if you go to the home page, you can see that the overall submitted flow over here. If you check the stages and node, you can see that self-approval stage has been completed on this date and time, and when you click on that, you will be able to see the detailed information about that as well. Now let's do one more level up. Let's go to the approval designer and let's edit our process workflow. Let me open the process designer and let's now add some of the conditions over here. Now here I want to add one more level of stage, multi-stage. Okay, and in that stage I just want to add manager approval. So let's add a new stage over here and let's provide the name as manager approval, and that manager approval will happen only if price is greater than 400. Okay, so I want to apply the condition as well over here. Okay, but before that, what I'll do here is simply click on done and save this particular stuff from here. So first of all, it is adding that stage over here. Alright, and now what I simply want to do here is I want to add some of the variable. Which are those variable I want to take up? Let's talk about that. So here, first of all, I need, if the price is greater than 400, then only I want to go with that. So I will accept the price value from my input. So I will add price and type as number. Okay, and then I will add one more variable over here. And I want to add one more parameter called name, and let's click on close. So we have set up two variables. Now let's edit this stage again. So I can see three dots over here. So I can simply click on that and click on edit that stage, and let's apply the condition. I'm choosing if else, and from the source I will choose the request data. Okay, and in request data I can see the variables. I will choose if price is greater than or equal to, and I will choose 400 over here. If price is greater than or equal to this, then only it will go to this particular stage. Okay, so let it to be updated the condition, and you can see that now the second stage has been set up in this way. If it is true, what should happen? Let me click on add node, and over here it will go for the manager approval. Okay, so let's just provide a name over here. I'm just providing here the node name is above $400 approval, and you can select any approval type, and approver you can choose dynamic, and you can see the manager of initiator, you can simply select that. But over here I don't have any premium licenses, so I'm setting up the statically some approval. So let's say contact user is someone who is the approver, so I can just provide my contact email address over here. But just for a faster testing process, I'm setting up my name at this moment. So let me just add approver as my name, click on add, and at this moment I don't want to set up any delegation rule. Click on save, and all good. So this has been saved successfully, and now let's publish this version. I'm just clicking on publish. Let's click on publish, and you can see that it has been published. And now let's wait for the status to be updated. And here we are. You can see that the latest version has been published successfully. Let's close this out, and now let's go to our Power Automate flow again. Let's go to the solution and let's edit the flow again. And let's expand this action, and this time we have edited the flow, and you can see that the name of the process is showing correctly instead of untitled. And now it is asking for two parameter, because those are the two parameter we are accepting from our request. Okay, so here we need to provide name and price. So simply let's provide machine name from here, and let's provide the price, and let's save this stuff. So now let's test the application. So I'm just opening my Canvas app, and what I'm doing here is I'm selecting a product which is having more than 400 value. I'm just clicking on compare one item, and I'm just removing approver, and let's submit the machine request. Basically now this will go through the approval process. Click on OK, and let's wait for it. Let me go back. The flow is running. You can see it over here. Meantime, let me just go to the model driven application. Let's go back, and let me just open up the approval center. This is how the approval center looks like. You can see that one new request coming up over here. If I click on that, it is looking like this, and you can see that right now there is only one stage available over here called self approval, and it's still in the running mode. So let's see. And here I am. You can see that I can see the approve and reject status in the email. Let me simply clicking on approved, and let me clicking on submit. So this has been submitted, and now the price was more than 400, so it should send me one more notification. So let me just go again to the model driven application. Let me refresh it, and now you can see that at this moment the first was self approval was completed, and now you can see that manager approval, it is showing the status as new. Okay, so now over here it will send me one more notification for approval and rejection. So let's see what happens. And from here as well, you can track all your node instances. So you can see here that 400 approval is still in the running stage, and other stages are completed. Okay, so let's wait for a few minutes, and here I am. I received an email. So let's open up this, and let me just approve this one as well, and let's click on submit, and here we are done. And let me open this again. Let me click on refresh, and you can see that now this has been completed successfully. So you can see that now we can track entire stuff over here from the home page itself, like how many flow are in the running mode, how many, let's say if you wanted to go to each stages in detail, you always have stages and node, and from here you can check the instant status as well. So it's a one-stop solution for your all approval management for yourself. All right. So this is multi-stage approval we have done. First we did self-approval, and then we did manager approval, and all of this thing we did without writing any piece of code, with just a low code solution. Okay, now let's do one more level up. Let's apply some sort of delegation rule over here inside our process flow. So for that, what we can do is simply go to the setup section from this particular kit, and over here when you click on that, you will be able to see the work profile. So you can set up your employee's work profile over here. So let's say here I'm just setting up the profile for myself. So I'm just providing name Dhruvin, and I can set up the working days over here for myself. Okay, so if I'm working for 5 days, I can make it the block as this, and all good. Let's click on save and close. Holiday calendar, we need to select it, but first we need to create the holiday calendar for myself. Let's click on save and close. And now let me set up the holiday calendar for myself. So I'm going here, and I'm just creating a new calendar for myself, 2024 calendar. Okay, and clicking on save. As soon as you click on save, you can add the holidays underneath that. So let me just add new business approval public holiday. Here Kite Festival is going on 14th and 15th. So I'm just setting up 15th as a public holiday. Save and close. So one public holiday is available there. And now if I go to my work profile and edit my work profile over here, you will be able to see the available calendar. I'm selecting 2024 calendar for myself, saving and close, and my work profile has been set up successfully. Now what I need to do here is I need to go to the home page by approval center, and when you go there, you will be able to see the configure basic setting option. Now over here you need to set up the delegate for yourself. So let's click on that, And over here you will be able to see the option for yourself. My work profile, you can set up your own profile over here, and you can see all the leaves available for myself are available over here, and I can see all my working days over here. And out of office, I want to enable it, so whenever I'm out of office, it will apply this particular delegation rule properly. Okay, now over here you need to set up the delegate for yourself. So let's say for an example, I am Dhruvin, so apart from my user I can set up any other user over here. So let me set up one user called Power Platform Dev01 as my approval delegate. So in case if I'm not available, I'm out of office, or if the request is timeout, it will go to this particular delegate request for the approval. Same way I can set up the backup delegate. If this approval delegate doesn't work, then I can set up one backup delegate as well for myself. So over here let me set up Power Platform Dev02. Okay, enable Outlook office notification. I want to enable yes, default notification for them, and clicking on save. And that's how our delegation setting has been set up successfully. Okay, now how you can apply delegate rule. So for that, again you need to go to the approval designer from the bottom and select your process and click on process designer. Here you can configure what type of delegation rule you want to apply for your process. So over here you can see that I can see the different kind of approval. Let's say for an example, for manager approval, I want to set up one sort of rule. So I'm clicking on here and I can apply delegation rule over here. What type of delegation rule you want? Currently it's none, so no delegation rule will apply over here. But let's say if you set up out of office, which means that whenever you are out of office, automatically this request is transferred to your delegate. Okay, let's say if you are setting up timeout, then you need to set up what is the timeout for this request. Let's say after 4 days if user business days or actual days, so it will just exclude the holidays and Saturday Sundays from there. And if you select actual days, it will consider the entire week. Okay, so let's say if I want to set up like after 4 days, if the approver didn't respond, it should go to the appropriate delegate. Then you can simply select timeout and 4 actual days, so after that it is transferred to the delegate. If you select timeout or out of office, both the stuff which I explained, timeout or out of office, any of case happen, it will start triggering the stuff for yourself. And all of these settings are available as a part of your approver settings that you have done over here. So you can see here, so over here applied this particular setting, my profile setting. So depending on that, it is setting up all of those stuff over here under the approval setting. Okay, and from the home screen as well you can check out that stuff. So if you go to home screen and if you go to the configure basic setting, same thing is available over here with respect to user interface over here. Okay, now let me just go to the approval designer and set up the rule for myself. So I'm going again machine request process designer, and what I'm doing here is for manager, what I'll do is I will set up the delegation rule. So what I'll do is timeout or out of office if any of this thing happened, and for timeout I will set up 3 business day over here. If within 3 days if the person is not replied, it automatically transfer that request to the delegate. Okay, so I'm just applying that, save it and publish my flow. All right, save this and publish this stuff. And here we are, our out of the office and delegation rule also been applied successfully over here. Now I can't test this request at this moment because I don't have any request which has a timeout, or currently my calendar is also not in out of the office stage. So I will just give it to you in the homework for testing this particular stuff depending on your business case. But yeah, this is how your end-to-end case will look like. So in this video we talked about everything. We talked about the different kind of process workflow, how you can add the different stages, how you can add nodes, how you can do condition, how you can set up the dynamic approval, how you can set up out of office or timeout stuff for your approval. Everything I explained over here. Before we wrap up this particular series, let me talk about some of the limitation of this particular approval series. Right now, the main limitation here is if you want to apply your condition in the first stage of the approval, you can't do it. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me just explain you. So let's say for an example, this is my first stage of approval. Okay. And now over here, you can see that here we added the different kind of conditions. Okay. Now here, if I open this up and try to edit this stuff, I cannot be able to add any condition in the first node. So that's the one limitation. Second limitation is right now only English as a language is supported at this moment. Alright. Third limitation here is you need to always go through the overall limit of your Power Automate action. Whenever you use the approval kit, it consumes approximately 30 actions in the Power Automate in order to execute this process. Okay, so you can just check out those stuff, and more information you can always go ahead and check out with this link which I provided in the description box. And if you find any kind of issue, or if you have any feedback or suggestion, you can always submit your valuable feedback on PowerCat Business Approval Kit's GitHub repository. So you can go to the issue section, you can add your issue, or you can add any type of enhancement over here for which you are looking for into this approval kit, and Microsoft PowerCat team will improve the product accordingly. Hope this video helps you and values your time. If so, hit thumbs up, subscribe my channel, and don't forget to follow me on all my social media handles. All the links are available in the description box. With this is Dhruvin signing off. See you in the next session with some amazing content. Till then, have a great day. Goodbye.